Dolicothele diamantinensis. It's a species showcase. Hello tarantula lovers, I'm Alex and you're watching Tarantula Haven. Today's species showcase, I'm featuring the Dolicothele diamantinensis, which is commonly known as the Brazilian Blue Dwarf Beauty. And that name is no lie, they are beautiful little tarantulas. And what I'm finding out with a lot of the dwarf species is that they tend to be quite feisty and that they really hold their own as far as feeding and so on. And I don't know, maybe it has something to do with their little size, but they seem to be very good eaters, and they also seem to be very hardy. That is especially true of this particular species. Now, I got these about a year ago. Yeah, they were my Christmas present from last year. And I believe I bought them from Nature's Exquisite Creatures, and they were very tiny when I first got them. And they grow relatively quickly. What you're going to see is a year's growth, and they're ready to be moved into a larger enclosure, which is why I'm doing this species showcase. Another thing about them is that they tend to be very bolty, especially as tiny slings. So you got to be real careful when doing rehousings and things like that. Even things like opening the lid, they can and sometimes will bolt out. So they are definitely something that you have to be careful with because they are extremely flighty. All right, so let's go ahead and get on to it so I can start showing them to you and talk to you a little bit about them. When I first got them, I put them in these little pixie boxes, and they've been just fine in the pixie boxes, but they've outgrown it in probably a little bit less than a year. They don't have a whole lot of room in there, so I definitely need to go ahead and rehouse them. On hindsight, I would probably opt for maybe something a little bit taller because they do have a tendency to be very prolific webbers, and they will web up everything within the enclosure. So let me go ahead and open this up and show it to you. Let's get some light on here and move this over here so you can see. All right, so let me zoom in on that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that is the Dolicothele diamantinensis, and they put on color very quickly. I would say probably at about maybe third instar, I started to see some of the green coming out and a little bit of that blue. But it seems like they put on color really, really fast. And now that they're a little bit bigger, they tend not to be as shy. Look at that, they are feisty. They tend not to be as shy as they once were. And because they've established their home in here, I don't have to worry about them bolting on me. They really just like to stay in there, and because they have little web burrows and stuff that they've made, they will choose to hide underneath that. Now, I keep mine very much like I keep my green bottle blue. And the reason for that is because they come from Brazil, and according to what I've read, they come from a place or places they refer to as campos rupestres, which means rocky fields. So they live in savanna areas in rocky terrain, but that does not mean that they don't need humidity. I do keep them a little bit more humid than I do my green bottle blues. However, I do kind of let them dry out, and they've been just fine. As you can see, I don't have a watering dish inside here with it, and that's because I just use their web as a watering dish. I just water it down, and the web kind of holds it for a little bit, and they drink from it. Any moisture that goes into the substrate helps to keep it humid in the enclosure. But I don't overwater. I usually will only water about a quarter of the enclosure just to keep a little bit of humidity on there. But I don't like to get it too humid, and they've been just fine keeping them a little bit on the dry side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over to this letterbox size, and It doesn't quite have as much room as I would like it to have, but I can't really find anything that would be a little bit taller and larger at the moment. But when they get a little bit more size on them, then I will transfer them to their permanent enclosure. So I haven't moved these guys in a year, so I don't know how prone to bolting it's going to be when I do move it. So I'm going to be real careful here to not allow it to run off. Put that over here. I do have my catch cut ready just in case. Hopefully I won't need it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid partially over one side of the box here. And kind of scoot them over and see if I can walk them into the new enclosure. Move that over so you can see a little bit better. But you can clearly see those beautiful colors on there. Now, from what I understand, they are, like I said, very quick growers. And from what I've heard, the males will tend to mature within 6 to 9 months. Now, these guys I've had for almost a year. I've had them for 11 months. And look at that. Look at those fangs. He's so feisty. I see venom dripping from there. Woo! All right, so it doesn't want to move at all. But let's see if we can get it to go over. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit difficult there. I think we're going to get to the point where it just doesn't want to do anything and it's going to just bolt. Man, it's got those fangs going. Come on. There you go. You're angry. There you go. Just walk over. All right. Oh, that was easy. With a little bit of anger there. Okay, so I've got it on dry substrate right now. I will add a watering dish now. But this little guy right here is about 2-3 inches maybe. Females will top out at about 4 inches, whereas males will top out somewhat smaller than that. I'm not actually sure. I think maybe 2 inches. So they're a little bit smaller than the females. Also, from what I've read, females tend to live about 15 years, but they do tend to mature relatively quickly. So in about a year, they will mature. Now, I don't know what it is. Maybe my temperatures aren't high enough, but mine have not gained that much size to where I would consider it to be mature. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe what I've read is wrong, but that's just the information that I looked up. So I have it on dry substrate and I've got a little bit of foliage there, little plastic plants there, so that it has anchor points. Probably within a week, it's going to have this webbed up relatively quickly. They are prolific webbers. I would say that they are right up there with the green bottle blue as far as webbing everything up. And they don't hesitate. They don't waste any time. They will immediately start to web up the enclosure. They do burrow a little bit. They'll burrow out maybe a little bit of a corner, but for the most part, they'll have web tunnels going everywhere, and that is pretty much where they stay, in those web tunnels, so they have a place to retreat. All right, so that was Dolichothele diamantinensis number 1. Here goes number 2. Kind of interesting how feisty it was, how willing to bite it was. These are not supposed to be very defensive tarantulas, but of course if you're poking and prodding them, they probably are going to get defensive like mine did. That one was so angry it actually had its fangs displayed, and I saw venom dripping from those fangs. So you know they mean business when they have their fangs out like that and there's venom dripping from them, so they're ready to use those fangs. But for the most part, they are bolty and will usually retreat rather than defend themselves like that, but maybe that one was a special case. So here is D. diamantinensis number 2. That one's sitting in the corner. Looks like it's recently molted. So let's see if we can get this one to cooperate. All right, little guy. Okay, there's a little bit of a better look. Come on, let's see if we can get you to go. Nope, we're getting the same defensive behavior. Fangs aren't out though. Come on. Doesn't want to go, but it's not really displaying too much of a defensive posture. There we go. All right, little guy. Get your footing. Very good. All right, so they've obviously gotten quite bold in their older age. They don't want to move, but they're not running all over the place trying to bolt away from me, even if I'm putting them into a new enclosure. Okay, so I've got the same thing going on here, some dry substrate. I got a little bit of foliage there for anchor points, and of course a watering dish later on. Okay, D. diamantinensis number 3. And this one has got a little bit of size to it. Now, so far I've not seen any mature males, and I've had them for 11 months. And from what I read, they're supposed to mature 6 to 9. I don't know. Maybe that's incorrect information. It needs to be updated. Okay, so let's see if we can get this one to comply. Put the lid on there. Actually, let me put it the other way around so it has some foliage there to grab onto. All right, here we go. All right, little guy, come on. Oh, well, this one's getting feisty. We got fangs out there. Threat posture. Look at that. He's ready to go. All right, come on, little guy. Yeah, I know you mean business. Come on. Ooh, there it went. Okay, crawl over. All right, not too bad. That was another easy one. Now, it would be great if I ended up with all females. That would be the first time anything like that's ever happened with me and tarantulas. Usually I'm notorious for choosing males, but I would love it if I ended up with all females. Dolicothele diamantinensis number 4. Now this one has recently molted. So you can see how bright and stunning those colors are. And it looks like it's still rather soft. Probably shouldn't be moving it right now. But I don't know, I think it's been a little bit before it molted or after it molted. So I probably will go ahead and move it. It doesn't look too soft. All right, so here we go. Now, as far as feeding is concerned, I have never seen this species turn down a meal. They are ready to eat. They're always ready to go. And the only time that they will turn down a meal is just before a molt and after a molt. But for the most part, they will always eat. All right, there we go. So another easy transfer. So if you're looking for a nice hardy tarantula, even though they are a dwarf species and they don't get very big, this is a very good choice as far as hardiness. I've had 4 of these when I got them a year ago, and I still have all 4. I've never had an issue with any of them. They're great eaters. They web prolifically, and they just do well in their enclosures. And you can keep them somewhat dry. Make sure you have some humidity in there, but it doesn't have to be too humid. A watering dish is usually sufficient, and maybe waiting about 1/4 of the substrate, not too much. I keep them almost exactly like I do my green bottle blues. This one was short and sweet, but that's what happens when you have tarantulas that are willing to do what you want them to do, and everything goes nice and smoothly. Not every rehousing has to be a big production, but if you're dealing with old worlds, it almost always has to. But new worlds sometimes make it real easy for you. If you have any questions or comments, or if I forgot to mention anything, don't hesitate to leave me a comment below. I'll answer it as soon as I can. And if I don't know the answer, I will find out and I will get it from someone else and let you know. Christmas is coming real soon. I'm thinking about my Christmas list. I'm thinking about what I want for Christmas, and of course it's going to involve tarantulas, so be looking for that. That's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I do have a Redbubble store where I sell Tarantula Haven merchandise. I'll post a link to the Redbubble store below. Any of the proceeds that come from the Redbubble store will go directly to help grow and support this channel. Until next time, keep loving them tarantulas.